Today, we will discuss a topic of international relation, in that is India and Latin America relations. Now, first of all, let us see what does Latin America means. Latin America is the entire continents of South America plus Mexico, Central America plus Caribbean island. So all of these together constitutes Latin America. Now, coming to the historical background of the relationship between India and Latin America, we could divide the relationship into three phases. The first phase is from independence to 1980s. This is a period of mutual neglect. Okay, during independence, before independence, both were colonies of European power, and at independence both adopted socialist policies which did little to enhance the relationship. So from independence to 1980s there was mutual neglect. From 1980s to 2000 there was a tentative relationship. They sign some treaty and then they forget, and after a few years they again come back. So there was such sort of relationship. But since 21st century there is a policy of negotiation. Continuous negotiation is happening between India and Latin America. Okay, now coming on to see what is the importance of India for Latin America. What is the importance of India for the people in Latin America? The first importance is the trade. Latin America exported around 26 billion USD during 2017-18 to India. India is now the third largest destination of Latin America's export after US and China. Today, Latin American countries, LAC here stands for Latin America and Caribbean countries. Okay, I'll be using the same acronym LAC for Latin America and Caribbean future in the video. Okay, today LAC exports more to India than to any other country like UK, France, Japan, Germany. More than that, LAC exports to India. We can say that India is the number one destination for Latin America's exports of vegetable oils. Okay, in terms of vegetable oils, India is the number one destination of export. Number two for crude petroleum. For crude petroleum, we are number two. Okay, sorry, that's not legible. For crude petroleum, we are number two. Number three for gold, India is number four for copper. Okay, so we are an important destination for export of vegetable oil from Latin America, or for the export of crude petroleum or gold or copper. We'll see this in future slides as well. Okay. The second importance of India to Latin America is the pharmaceuticals. India supplies $1 billion worth of generic medicines to LAC because we have supplied a lot of generic medicine. Therefore, the cost, the MNCs there in LAC countries has to reduce the cost of medicines out there. So ultimately, there is reduction in the cost of healthcare in Latin America, and we are responsible for reducing the cost of healthcare in Latin America, our generic medicines. Okay, the next importance is the human resource development, because we have around 2 dozen Indian IT and BPO companies there in LAC. Okay, which employs around 30,000 Latin American people. So okay, they are giving employment to them. Okay, the next importance is the competitive manufacturing sector in LAC, and we are responsible for it. Why? So because one third of India's exports, not we are responsible, but we are contributing to it, because one third of India's export to LAC are raw materials only. Okay, and they are cheap raw materials. So these are helping LAC manufacturing to reduce the cost of production out there, so making the manufacturing sector out there more competitive. So that is why India is an important nation for LAC countries to interact, because of all of these reasons. Now let us see why Latin America is important for us, for our India's interest. So we will see this now. The importance of Latin America to India. Okay, first of all, the export. ठीक है. Some Latin American countries have become more important for Indian exporters than some of our neighbors and traditional partners. Okay, we can see this via an example that last year we exported around 305 million US dollar to Guatemala versus 196 million US dollar to Cambodia. While Guatemala is 15,000 kilometer away and Cambodia is just 3,000 kilometer away. Okay, so our exporters are now shifting toward LAC countries, or LAC is becoming more important destination for us. Similarly, last year we traded around 216 million US dollar to Dominican Republic versus 201 million dollar to Kazakhstan. Well, Dominican Republic is 15,000 kilometer around away, while Kazakhstan is just 2,000 kilometer away. Okay. The next importance is trade. The bilateral trade between India and LAC is around 29.3 billion US dollar. Okay. If we say the similar terms in terms of the China and LAC countries, if we see the trade between China and LAC countries, so this trade between the two of them is around 250 billion US dollar. Okay, so both of us are at equal distance. China as well as India, both of us are at equal distance from LAC countries. But still, China has more presence in Latin America than India's. It has more than 5 times presence in Latin America than us. Okay, we have some preferential trade agreements with LAC countries like India, Mercosur preferential trade agreement, or India Chile preferential trade agreement. Also, India Peru comprehensive FTA, which is under negotiation. So this is the importance trade in the trade sector we have. Okay, now coming to the energy security. LAC the supplies around 15% of India's crude oil requirement. So okay, it is reducing our dependence on West Asia. Okay, so it is contributing to energy security of India. Next, in terms of food security, we are importing edible oil, pulses, and fruits from Latin American countries. We all know that in sector of edible oil, there is a monopoly of Malaysia and Indonesia. Okay, they are having monopoly. Malaysia and Indonesia are having monopoly, and now we are importing edible oil mainly from Argentina. So it is playing against the monopoly supply of palm oil with from Malaysia and Indonesia. So okay, so it's actually contributing toward food security. Now, in economic terms, Latin America is rich in minerals like copper, lithium, gold, silver. So it's giving huge opportunities for India. Okay, so we could have cheap imports. है ना, lithium we are so much dependent on imports, है ना, from China and other countries. Now we could have cheap imports from Latin American countries. Now we have some strategic importance. The Latin America has a strategic importance as well. Latin America is important for India to achieve its global ambition. Like we need their support for membership in UN Security Council and NSG. Okay, we need their support. Okay, the Latin American countries have a huge growth prospect. We are so much attracted to them. Why so? Because Latin America is a collective GDP of more than 6 trillion US dollar, more than 6 trillion US dollar. Okay, and their combined population is more than 600 million, more than 600 million of combined population. Okay, so they are very important to us. Now let us see why the Indo-LAC ties did not grow. One, the reason is geographical distance between the two. There are different domestic and international priorities, lack of cultural, linguistic, and diaspora connections. Okay, Chinese influence in the region is around 5 times. This is not the reason per se, but I've told you here. Okay, the rivalries between the countries in Latin America, okay, also are affecting the India's relationship in the region. Example, India and Brazil are the member of G4. We all know G4 is seeking UN Security Council membership, while Argentina is a member of Coffee Club. Coffee Club is against this UN Security Council membership of India and Brazil. Okay, so because of all of these regions, India could not achieve the potential trade relationship between the two. Now, what is the way forward? We need to revive Focus LAC program. This is very important. Focus LAC program was launched in around 1997 and was extended up to March 2019. We need to revive this focus LEC program. Also, we need institutional framework, we need business and people to people network. Okay, also we need to promote Latin American studies. Okay, we need to conclude PTA FTAs at the earliest. Okay, so this is what is needed to achieve good India and Latin America relationships. Okay, now we can conclude it by saying that India is a fast growing developing economy and is experiencing food and energy needs, and therefore deeper ties are needed, okay, in the LAC region, and this will be mutually beneficial for both of us. The relationship is mutually beneficial, and I've talked before as well how India is important for LAC and how LAC is important for India. Okay, so this is all about India and Latin America relationship. Thank you.